Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Who Asked Me podcast. Per usual, I'm your host, Zell, and I'm so excited to be back this week. I took last week off because, like I said, I was at Beyonce. It was amazing. It's kind of why my voice is a little bit hoarse now. My only gripe is I will actually never be going back to a concert at Soldier Field again. I will never be going to a outdoor concert not in the summertime at Soldier Field again. And honestly, maybe not at all, because exiting that place was also a nightmare. It gave me so much anxiety. And I also saw a couple other videos online of people saying the same things. There was one exit for the entire building. And it's worrisome. I know when me and my friend were walking, not out of the stadium, but like going down and out, I could see a full view of just how many people were trying to get out. And I was like, this is a hazard. Like, God forbid something happen. This is very scary, right? Also, excuse me, we waited 20 minutes. I saw somebody online say wait 20 minutes and then leave, and it's so much easier. We waited the 20 minutes. Honestly, we waited a little bit longer because I had to use the bathroom. If that was better, oh wow. Oh wow. Okay, but I'm not here to talk about Beyonce. I am here to get into the mess. And then at the end, we will talk a little bit of personal because my mental health has been on the edge. But if you don't want to hear about that, I will not say it until the very end, and I'll let you know when you can stop listening. So let's get into my first topic before we get into the shows. I don't know if I've actually ever talked about me being a basketball fan on here, but I am. I love the WNBA. I used to play basketball growing up. My family was a basketball family over any other sport, right? My brother played all throughout high school. I stopped playing when I was pretty young, I'll be honest, because I didn't like my dad coaching me. I didn't like my dad training me. He was just mean. I know it sounds silly, and I'm making a light joke from kind of a more serious situation, but long story short, like I said, we'll get to the serious stuff later. But I still enjoy basketball. I love the WNBA, and I love that the WNBA is getting more eyes on it now. However, with more eyes comes more idiots. Okay? Just like everything else. In this case, the idiot I'm talking about is Dave fucking Portnoy. I don't know if I've ever talked about it on this podcast before, but I feel like I have had to. My beef with Dave Portnoy goes beyond the WNBA, right? This lore is back, right? In 2019, when the Blues were in the playoffs for the Stanley Cup, they played Boston. I don't even know what their fucking team is. I'm really not a Blues fan. I know our team, St. Louis Blues. I know the Blackhawks because that's a huge rivalry. And that's it. I know, no, one of the teams is the Maple Leafs. I don't know where. Toronto, got it. But that's about it, right? So St. Louis was playing Boston. It was in one of the playoff games. It was here in St. Louis. Dave Portnoy came. He was at the game. The Blues scored. A rally towel was swung around and then popped him just on the shoulder from a St. Louis Blues fan. And this man, mind you, Boston was losing, so he really had his panties in more than a bunch. They were in a bunch, turned up in his asshole and just rotting and decaying, and it was making him sour. So he got tapped with the fucking rally towel, and he's like, I got assaulted. I got assaulted in St. Louis. And listen, no, I didn't take that seriously because I do live in St. Louis, and baby, I got robbed not too long ago. Like, assaults are happening around, okay? So when he tweeted that, I did say, listen, that wasn't an assault, okay? But if you want one, you just exit on Clark Street, walk 2 steps, and you might get one from somebody. It's true. It's true. You might get hit by a car. Like, that's the city which we live in, and I love St. Louis. I really do, right? But it was a little jokey joke. That man can make jokes all day long, but when I say that, he blocks me. And then, of course, my friends being my friends started trolling him. He unblocked me. I wish he would have left me blocked, but that is just a little itty-bitty reason why I cannot stand Dave Portnoy. But in this case, it dates back to when Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark played each other in playoffs when they were in college. if you're familiar, Caitlin Clark did a move, if you're not watching this, where she kind of like not covered her face. She went back and forth with her face. It's a taunting move. It's showboaty. It's the game. Look, I don't have a problem with the move, no matter who does it, unlike Dave Portnoy. Angel Reese did it after they won and beat Caitlin Clark, but Caitlin Clark's team, sorry, not Caitlin Clark. And Dave Portnoy was like, Angel, on Twitter, again, the scene of many of his crimes, was like, Angel Reese is a disgusting person, deplorable, piece of fucking shit. Mind you, at this time, this is a grown man talking about a woman, a girl in college, a young woman, a grown man, right? Like, oh my fucking God, get a grip. First of all, it's not a disgusting thing to do. And his rationing on why it was disgusting is because when Angel Reese did it, there was only 10 seconds left in the game and they had already won and it was unnecessary and it was taunting. Babe, it's a fucking taunting move. And it kills me because if men did it, like, let's start here. If men did it, he would not call the man, whether he liked him or not, a piece of shit for doing it. He'd be like, that's sports. That's what this is about. We do it. But when Caitlin did it, it's fine because she's a legend. And Caitlin Clark is a great basketball player. Do not get me fucking wrong. She is a great basketball player. Everyone in the league is a great basketball player because if they weren't, they wouldn't be in the league. I don't care what anybody says. If they weren't great basketball players, they would not be in the fucking league. Okay? But when Angel Reese does it, she's a piece of shit. She's classless. You're dumb. And you know, and my thing about Dave Portnoy is he knows he's dumb. He knows he's a fucking idiot. And he's a rage baiter. And here I am raging, taking the bait, raging. But it's so fucking annoying. So fast forward, he went to an Indiana Fever versus Chicago Sky game. Caitlin Clark plays for Indiana Fever. Angel Reese plays for Chicago Sky. There was a hard foul. No one denies that it's a hard foul. It was not, and the point that is being missed by not only Dave Portnoy, but these other racist people, because they are racist, is that it's not that a hard foul was made. It's how Caitlin Clark's fans react, right? It's how her fans react to her getting a call for a hard foul. I don't know if people are purposefully obtuse or if they really, really cannot see that, okay? This has sparked a whole bunch of conversation amongst men, okay? RG3 being one of those men. If you don't know who RG3 is, just look him up. Oh my God, I don't want to spend too much time on him. But he gets on his podcast. I don't follow RG3, so I really don't know what he's up to with his camera and his microphone, okay? But he gets on it with his wife in the back, who is white, and he makes statements about Angel Reese, not about Angel Reese as a ball player, not criticizing her game, anything like that. He makes personal claims about Angel Reese that he actually can't back up. He says that Angel Reese hates Caitlin Clark. And here's my thing. Even if Angel Reese dislikes Caitlin Clark, there are sports rivalries, like actual sports rivalries, right? Again, when men have sports rivalries, it's amazing. This is riveting. They live for this shit. But when women have sports rivalries, it's like, wow, that other woman is disgusting and she needs to get it together. And she says, Angel Reese has spoken out about and it's a public rivalry. I don't think that Angel or Caitlin actually have a personal problem with each other. I can see now at this point if Angel has an issue with Caitlin's lack of standing up to her fans. And like when you play team sports, when you are a part of a team or you are part of any type of sport, whether you're on a different team from somebody, I was always taught that there is a respect for the game, okay, that should be there amongst everybody, whether you are on rival teams or not. And like there could be one day when Angel and Caitlin are on the same team. There could be a day that happens. So Angel has said, like, if I need to be the villain in your story to get more eyes on women's basketball, so be it. We are all here making our mark. People have misconstrued that I almost said topic, but that statement over and over again because they want to make her the villain, right? And she has said, like, you do what you want, okay? Nobody in all of Oz, no wizard that there is or was, is ever going to bring her down, is pretty much what she said there. RG3 makes his statements, and his wife is in the background just like nodding. his wife is white, and RG3 has a history of saying things about his wife. I don't know that lady. And he always is like, my tall glass of milk. My, like, ooh, I love milk and cookies. And it's just weird. It's really weird. And then Ryan says that he's another sports former play. I think he's a football player. I don't know. I'm not a big football person either. But another guy makes a comment about how he being RG3 has kind of minimized his wife down to like the color of her skin, because he has. That's most of the time in the public when we hear him talk about his wife, he is mentioning her skin color. It's weird. RG3 decides to take it super offensively and move out of the way of the point, because I'm not even going to say he missed the point. I think he moved out of the way of it purposefully, and then starts acting like a victim and is like, you talked about my family. He went full Caroline Manzo on it, right? He's like, don't mess with my family. It's stupid. Back to the women. Okay. So Caitlin Clark, here's where I have issue with her. And like I said, is the fans. She is not the first white woman to play in the league who has fans, and you can't, to a certain extent, you can't control other people. But when people are putting you on a pedestal, I do think that and then they are perpetuating narratives and racism in your name, in your defense, you do have a responsibility to denounce that and to say, like, I don't stand for that. It should not be, you can't say like, well, of course I don't, right? Plenty of people have done it before. Paige Beckers is a recent example, but plenty of other women who are not Black in the league have done it before. I've said, like, we do not stand for this. And if you are a fan of mine, that behavior is not acceptable. I don't agree with that. It's nothing. Caitlin really has a Midwest middle-aged dad approach to things. So the league launched an investigation because people were saying that there were monkey noises being made while Angel Reese shot her free throws, right? Dave Portnoy is at this game. He swears up and down no monkey noises were made. I am convinced that somebody could be making a monkey noise directly in Dave Portnoy's ear, and he'd be like, I have no clue what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about. That's not a monkey noise. That's actually an owl. Actually, that's my ringtone. That's the sound of sweet heaven. That's not a monkey noise, though. That'd be ridiculous. Fuck off, bitch. Anyways, they launch an investigation. Caitlin is asked about it. She is hands on hips, like I said, very middle-aged dad. Yeah, that's really unfortunate if that happened, and there's no space for that in the game. And, the league has launched their investigation, and, hopefully their findings are that there's no issue for that, because, again, there's no space for that. Well, there's also no space for your boyfriend liking racist tweets. Yeah, that's a thing also. That's why with her, I'm just like, you got to get real, okay? Why do you have a problem denouncing this? Your boyfriend, I'm not telling you to dump that boy, okay? But the least you can do, not only is it your fans, now it's right at your front door, in your bed, actually. Like, he is liking racist fucking tweets. And the answer is either no answer at all, or the baseline, like, oh yeah, hopefully the findings don't find anything like that, because that'd be horrible. Okay, and even when I made, like, when you talk about this in the minimal way, like I made a video on TikTok about it, people get so ignorant so fast when you're talking about Angel Reese. And again, that game happened, or I'm so off this week. I don't think it was last week, but maybe earlier this week, in between late last week and early this week. There have been other hard fouls in the league. Okay. There have been other hard fouls in the league. For example, Dejanay Carrington just hard fouled somebody in a game. And some people were like, can't do that. That's racist. Shut the fuck up. You, again, purposefully moving out of the way of the point. The foul is not racist. Hard fouls are not racist. How you respond to them because of who you like and the color of their skin is the fucking racist part, you goddamn idiot. And of course, no one's going to say, yeah, I'm racist. Yeah, absolutely. No one's going to say that. It's 2025. No one is going to say that. Just like time evolves, racists get sneakier with how they do things. Some of them do hide in plain sight, right? They're not as sneaky, but they get sneakier. They're like, oh, that's not what I said. My neighbor was Black growing up. I play on a team with black people. I'm not racist. It's just so comical at this point. Now, and I don't want to say comical because I really do fear for the women's mental health, all of the women of the WNBA, right? Because you have these men watching these games. And yes, people should watch women's sports. Women are great at sports. The games are great. The competitiveness, the physicality, the fierceness, they get shit done. But some of these men, I am convinced, watch women's sports and talk about these hard fouls in this way and say like, that's not that, because they want to see women get hit. I'm like, oh, there's something wrong with you. You are finding joy in a woman you don't like, you think you don't like. In this case, the woman they don't like is Angel Reese because they are Caitlin Clark fans, right? You are finding joy in her getting hit. And you want it to happen again and again and again. You cannot convince me otherwise. Sorry, I know that this is not usually a sports podcast, but I had to get it off. Okay, now let's get into another topic. I wanted to talk about this last week, and it just kind of rolled over because I continued to see things. As you all know, Kayla Nicole, I hate to reference her in this way, but Kayla Nicole used to date Travis Kelce, right? Way before he got with Taylor Swift, just to clear that up. Some of us have always known who she is. She's an influencer and she's a model, okay? We like following her. I love Kayla. She does have a podcast. I enjoy listening to it from time to time. When I'm at work, I put it on and, it's just casual conversation. She was talking to Nazanin Mandy, who used to be married to Miguel, the singer Miguel. They were together for like 18 fucking years. And they had 2 cats together. They somehow got into talking about pets. And they talked about how Nazanin and Miguel split the pets up, right? They split them 1 and 1. Kayla was just like, God damn, I can't believe you split them up. She was like, I have pets from a past relationship and I got them both. And I just got a $2,000 vet bill the other day. And I was like, God damn. It was very passing. Very passing. So, y'all, I have Milo from my past relationship. Sometimes I literally wondered the other day, I was like, I wonder if Milo like would even react if he ever saw my ex-husband again, if he would like remember him, how excited he would be. You know what I mean? Those are just things like when you have a pet with a past partner, that just happens. But people on the internet are on their high horse and they're like, what? She is so obsessed. She's so obsessed. No, that was her life. That is a fact of her life, that she had pets with a past partner. Now she has them. Saw the vet bill, and it was like, goddamn. Okay? Anybody with a pet who gets a vet bill, you are like, goddamn, especially multiple fucking pets. Okay? And then I saw, there's this influencer named Aspen Ovar that I'm not too familiar with, but she was on an episode, the Halloween episode of Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. I saw a clip of her talking about, I guess she's recently divorced, talking about, in the context, I'm not sure 100%, but the guest said something about like a past relationship. They were talking about, co-parenting and things like that. And then the part of the conversation, replied, and people are in the comments like, oh, she can't talk about anything besides her ex. Oh my God, blah, 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 blah. And it's just like, people can talk about their experiences, right? I personally have just been in a space where I'm like, the internet is so negative. I mean, y'all know a couple episodes ago, I named my episode, The Internet is a Hellscape, and it's just getting worse. I don't understand how, as a society, we can like praise our friends for listening to us talk about the same situation over and over again while we need to process. But then when people who have, some type of fame or, internet personality talk about their experiences over and over again because they're, have this platform, they're losers for it, or they're obsessed with their exes, or they can't move on. Like, how the fuck does that work? Same thing. And y'all know how I feel about this. I'm one of the only people that doesn't think that Ashlyn Harris actually cheated on her ex with Sophia Bush. Sue me. Don't yell at me in the comments. I've mentioned it before. If you're a new listener, okay, I have my bullet points. And even if the threats and the things that were being said about her, listen, I'm queer. I'm a queer woman, right? I'm very in tune with what the sports community, soccer community says about Ashlyn Harris when it comes about to her versus her ex, Ali Krieger. And I don't agree with it. I just don't. Y'all can think that the woman, as the woman being Ashlyn Harris, is not a great soccer player. You can think Ali is a better soccer player. I do agree with you, right? That doesn't mean that Ashlyn doesn't have feelings. And that doesn't mean that we know all of the details of their relationship. We just don't, okay? So, somebody, again, commented and was like, or made a video, sorry, and goes, when do we think Ashlyn Harris is going to open up her comments? And not because she has them restricted, because she had really, really, really bad threats and just people saying awful things to her. And people are like, yeah, no one gives a fuck. No one gives a fuck about her. This person made a video saying like, when you going to open up them comments? When you going to go open up them comments? And you're like, yeah, no one gives a fuck. If I don't care if somebody's comments are open or closed, I'm not making a video about it. You keep them closed. I don't have anything to say to you. But no, y'all are chomping at the bit like some fucking hyenas looking at dinner to, as soon as you can, leave something nasty on somebody's page. I can't. I cannot. Okay? That's all the little topics I wanted to talk about. Let's get into the fucking shows. I'm going to let y'all know now. I have some not popular takes. And I fear I might get eaten up a little bit. But you know what? The past 2 weeks has prepared me for it. So, Secret Lives of Mormon Wives came out. I've said it on the internet. I've said it everywhere now. They need a reunion. First of all, these women are arguing in interviews. Interview with E.T. arguing. What? I'm sorry. I know that that's part of what makes them great, but we do need to get them some media training. I'm so sorry. We need to get them some media training. I go back and forth on how I feel about them being able to be online and us see all of their kind of drama and fallouts go online, because we did see a lot of things happen on the show that we saw play out in comment sections before the season was out. And I can personally say, when it comes to Demi and the Taylor Frankie Paul of it all, about the CMT, some country music awards, I don't fucking know. I don't watch that shit. I was like, okay, Taylor, like this, you're tripping. Before the season came out, that is, right? I was like, Taylor's like kind of tripping about this. Like, who does she think she is? And then, in the same breath, before I saw the season, Demi was in people's comment sections running amok, typing paragraphs. I was like, okay, Demi, let it burn, like, let it go. And then when I saw it play out on the season, yeah, I still think Taylor was tripping about that CMT stuff, but Demi. And you know what? I am convinced that Demi she loves this, because even though she's the villain, it's more camera time. She admitted it. She wants to be as famous as possible with doing as little of work. And the women also admitted that she wanted to come up with fake storylines last year, such as her getting caught in a car with Dakota and having an affair. I said, you would risk your relationship, your marriage getting scrutinized for just a fake TV line? Like, I'm sorry, that's crazy to me. That is crazy to me. Couldn't be me. Anyways, I want to talk about Jen. This is my unpopular-ish take. Now, to be very clear, y'all already know I think Zach is a blonde demon. I could go on and on about it, right? I do think that multiple things can be true when it comes to Jen's lying. I absolutely agree that Jen has told some lies and omitted some truths to protect her from Zach. I absolutely agree with that. I'm not disputing that whatsoever. At the same time, when it comes to some of Jen's lies, i.e. the gambling debt, what he did with the money with the gambling that she told the women and the world about, that's not a lie to protect her, okay? So what I'm saying is, the one time I actually was with Demi, kind of, this season, because I don't like how Demi went about it afterwards. I really don't. When Jen insisted that Zach go sit down and talk with Jesse and Demi. When Zach said, you two said some very damaging things about me, why did you say that I gambled all of our money away? Where would they get that from? They got it from Jen. I just, that's not a lie to keep her safe, right? Like, that you asked your friends to sit down with your husband to kind of work this out. What did you think your friends were going to say? And then when they sat down again with them, Jen, Zach, and Demi and Jesse, it was so weird when Jen and Zach were talking about that. I was like, what is it? Because again, it got brought up about the gambling debts. Demi and Jesse said, we heard that from you, Jen. And Zach is like, well, and she's like, well, tell the truth, Zach. And he's like, I am telling the truth. And he's like, really? And she's like, really? And I'm like, really? What is it? What is it? But then we can't, that specific thing only, we can't turn around on the women and say, like, you two were bad friends to me. No. I'm responding to what you are telling me about your husband. Yes, I'm going to talk about him like a fucking dog because I believe he is a fucking dog because of what you told me of how he treats you. Now, I have had a friend in a very scary domestic violence relationship, and I learned the hard way that, like, those big outbursts do not always, they're not good for your friend that is going to be in this situation with this person that is unfortunately abusing them, right? I cussed my friend's boyfriend out and told him what a piece of shit I thought he was. That was not good. That was not good for her. At the time, I was not aware of the extent of how bad things were, but I knew some things were happening already, and I opened my big mouth, and like that was a lesson I had to learn the hard way. Like her and I, she told me about it. We spoke about it, everything like that. It's just one of those things where I understand that sometimes opening your mouth about your friends' relationships, especially when it's scary, can not be the best move for them. I just don't. I'm not understanding the gambling debt thing. Like, what does Jen want them to say? Like, we made that up? Does she want them to say, we made it up that you gambled that money? We saw Jen say that. I was just like, I'm confused here. Okay. And the other thing I was confused about is, to a certain extent, I feel like she was telling Zach that none of the women checked up on her because he is so vehemently like, this is a toxic friend group. These are not your friends. I think he tells her, like, I don't want you to be friends with them and you need to cut them out. No, I was going to say I don't understand why she would say no one has checked up on her, but I do understand that now that I'm like actually processing it out loud. I do understand that, but again, in front of Jesse's face, right? When she says, I did check up on you, Jen, I can pull up the text message. I was like, okay. Now, speaking of like people pulling up text messages, what do we have against showing text messages on this show? There were a couple things throughout this season that I was like, I think this can be dispelled if we just pull up chat. Pull up the chat. Pull up the fucking chat, okay? I mean, my God. Now, when it came to, I don't want to say I was with Jen, because Jen was kind of with Zach, right? Jen said, and she explained this in an interview, she knew about, because they showed the flashback when it came to the Chippendales thing when she was getting her hair done, and they said that, I think it was Brett, was going to be in the Chippendales costume and he was going to do a little dance. To be specific, she said, I didn't know that I was going to be singled out and sat in a chair and danced on. And I'm with her there, okay? Everybody's telling a version of the truth here. And when I mean everybody, I really mean Demi and Jen. Because the flashback that they showed was that they said Brett is going to be in a Chippendales costume and dance, right? She said, I love that. We see her say, I didn't know about it. And then they show that flashback. And then she clears it up and this could be editing too, clears it up in a interview. And she says, I did not know that I was going to be singled out. So I completely understand that there. And I'm with her. I probably would be like, no, I didn't know about that. I'm with her there. And my heart does break for Jen. These women are so young. They are so fucking young. I knew that they were young last year because like their ages were shown. But when I was watching this season, I was like, fuck, they are young. You know what I mean? And somebody made a really good point about like Taylor, Miranda, and the soft swinging scandal. That is, since these women are so young and they did not get to like explore like a lot of other people did, that was their way of exploring. And it breaks my heart because Jen, not only is Jen young, she's been through a lot. She has been through a lot. And I said this last year with her. It's so clear that she just wanted security. I think she had said that she slept in her car at certain points in her life and all of those things. And it's clear that she wanted security and she saw that in Zach. I just wish that these women would, while they say that they're breaking the patriarchy of the Mormon community, like they're still very much so upholding the patriarchy of just society. And listen, I'm a believer of like people chant smash the patriarchy, blah, 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 in a certain way. Every single last one of us, even though we believe in our heart, like smash patriarchy, yeah, in a certain way, we do things, whether knowingly or unknowingly, to uphold the patriarchy. I mean, that's why they say unlearn something. That's why they say we have to unlearn these things. You know what I mean? It's just, I was like, when it really clicked to me again how young Jen is, I was like, fuck, like these women have so much that they have sacrificed because of this religion telling them that they needed to, and them trying to, obey their faith and their religion. But it's clear, I can see this season more than last, I can see the internal struggles with where some of them are with their faith. Now, I do want to touch on Jessie, because obviously Jessie was a little bit messy this season, right? And there's no denying that. But I do feel like she redeemed herself, right? Throughout. And the reason I do like Jessie on the show is because she said this during her interview in the Vial Files. I appreciate somebody who's willing to fall on the sword and say, like, I wasn't right there when presented with new information or the full picture, to be able to say, like, yeah, I was being messy or I wasn't being right. And I've heard her say that through a couple of her interviews. Now, let me tell y'all something. The thing about Jessie is it's so funny because, as most of you know, I went to cosmetology school. I did hair for about 6 years until I stopped, right? I did a lot of roller sets in beauty school, as most people do. You really have to take a lot of like the styling and a lot of like the makeup learning into your own hands. Beauty school is there to teach you the bare basics. So when I was in beauty school, they used to call them like the Kardashian curls, like those big voluminous, like the teens. It's not the early aughts. The 2010s? Those curls. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Bandage dress, Jessica Simpson platform heel, the big quote unquote Kardashian curls. I hate calling them that, but that's the best reference. Those were really in. I had such a hard time curling hair back in beauty school. I was like, it's not computing. Jessie's used to make YouTube videos. I looked at her YouTube videos on like basics, like how to curl hair. And I give her credit where it's due, because again, anybody who's been in cosmetology school knows they teach you the basics. There's an electrical unit. I don't know if they still have it, but there is, right? They teach you cuts. They teach you like bare basics of chemicals, color, perms, relaxers. I wonder if they still teach relaxers. I don't know. Anyways. But then it's up to you to learn other things. When I was in beauty school, 2012 to 13, the YouTube was huge. So Jessie was on YouTube and she was teaching the things that they were not teaching in school. She was helping you further your education while you were still in school. So that's how I knew how Jessie was. She has built an empire. Whether or not you like how she does hair or not, she hair is her life. She has always been around doing it. I don't know how she still does take clients, right? When it comes to the hair, because that is something that has been highly scrutinized. I want to tell y'all one thing. I'm sorry, I see way too many men talking about these women's hair. Talking about, oh, they look a mess. What's up under that hat, babe? Pull it up. What's up under that hat? Because you need to back it up. You're not a hairdresser, first and foremost, and you look a damn mess. How are you coming on this internet, Beyonce's internet, talking about these women's hair is ew? It's a mess. They look ugly. That is literally a video I saw from a man. No, you got me fucked up, right? And again, like I said, take that fucking camo hat off, bitch. Now, when it comes to hair, I'm gonna talk about myself here. And this goes for other clients. I wore a sew-in with a partial leave out for consistently, with minimal breaks, from freshman year of high school till I was 30 years old. A solid 15 years. My hairdresser used to, and the same hairdresser I've always wanted to, she used to tell me, you need to take your hair out and give it a break. You need to switch your part. You need to do this to keep my hair healthy. I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to do it because of my own self-conscious ways, right? And then things that I had to unlearn as well. She suggested those things to me for the betterment of my hair. I did not do them. Do we pick up what I'm saying? Your hairdresser, as a hairdresser, you can suggest things over and over again. People are not going to do them. Doctors, your doctor can tell you something. Hey, this is what you should do to like maintain your health. People may not do it. That's not on the doctor. That's not on the hairdresser. And I'm not saying hairdressers don't fuck people's hair up. That's not true. Every hairdresser is going to mess somebody's hair up until the day they stop doing hair, right? But I remember even that video where Layla was like, I want bangs. Jessie, we watched the whole video. Jessie was like, I don't think we should do that. And Layla said, no, I want to do it. Layla said she wanted to do it. So Jessie did it. And what happened? Layla regretted the bangs. People are like, Jessie can't do hair. No, Jessie can do hair. She did cut the bangs. The bangs are not good for Layla. Do we see what I'm saying? Like, I don't like when people automatically blame the hairdresser when, again, I used to have a lot of color clients. The number one service it is hardest for hairdressers, in my experience, to get their clients to get is a trim. It's a haircut. Because unless somebody is like maintaining like a pixie cut or a bob or a certain length, the hardest thing to get people to get, harder surface to get people to get is a haircut. Because people are like, no, I want to keep my hair long. No, I don't want to do this. The best way to keep your hair long is to regularly trim it every 6 weeks. And I know people are like, well, if people understood a trim and not a cut, then maybe I would. Again, I can't speak for every hairdresser. I really can't. I'm not saying that hairdressers do not mess people's hair up and they don't cut off too much. I myself have had like a scissor happy hairdresser before, but I will say that an inch is bigger than you think it is. It's more off than you think it is. A lot of people think an inch is right here. I know some of you can't see me because you're just listening and not watching on YouTube. This is closer to an inch, just so y'all know. And when that inch is coming off your hair, when you want to keep your hair long, yes, you are going to be like, oh my God, I got so much hair cut off. Also, when you look on the floor after getting your hair cut, at all of your hair, when the haircut is done, yes, it looks like a lot of hair. When you cut layers in your hair, yes, it looks like a lot of hair. That people look on the floor and see hair, and in their mind, they see short hair. They see that their hair is cut. Again, I'm not saying that nobody's ever gotten a bad haircut before. That's just simply not true. But I just also know how illusions work. Baby, I went to school when swing bobs were in. I know how illusions work. Okay? And sliced highlights. Kelly Clarkson highlights. We were still doing those when I was in beauty school too. Okay? Now, I will say, excuse me, I did find some tea. As we all know, the season of Secret Lives of Mormon Wives ended on that cliffhanger of Marciano saying that he and Jessie have been having an affair, right? Jessie has denied it, but she did say that her and Jordan are having issues. On the Vial Files podcast, she was asked if Jordan is the type of guy that she would want her daughters to be with, and she said no. And Nick said that he has heard some things about Jordan and that were disappointing to him, right? Okay, so a lot of people have been like, what is going on? What is it? What is it? What is it? Apparently, allegedly, a few years ago, Jordan punched Jessie's old assistant in the face while they were playing a game, like I don't know if they were doing a TikTok, but the comment said while they were playing some type of game. And he got mad and punched Jessie's assistant in the face. Jessie's assistant at the time was a man, and the guy signed an NDA. Somebody attached that comment, said that is old news in Utah, that's a known fact that happened, and it happened a couple of years ago. I said, violence? Violence? I thought we were talking, what I really thought? I thought it was that with the whole like dad talk being a thing, girls are sliding into his DMs and he's being inappropriate. That's what I was thinking. It better not be no violence. That man looks like a fucking Roblox character. I know you fucking lying. Again, I said, what the fuck? I'm not lying, y'all. That is not what I thought. And it still might not be it in this case, right? I really hope it's not. I really, really fucking hope it's not. But I was appalled. Playing a game and you punch somebody in the fucking face? Are you okay? Obviously not. Also, they said he follows Kyle fucking Rittenhouse, so that's concerning in itself. Ooh. You know what? I was going to get into the whole MAGA of it all. I don't feel like talking about that again, because a lot of people have like talked about how these women are MAGA. I don't know why we're shocked by that. Yes, they are. Like they're Utah Mormon women. If you know anything about Mormonism, I was more shocked to find out that Michaela was not a Trump supporter than I was to find out that I assumed she was. My bad. Sorry, Michaela. And again, just because she's not a Trump supporter, who the fuck am I? Supporter? Just because she's not a Trump supporter doesn't mean she can't be ignorant still in some way, shape, or form. Again, that's kind of why I find this show interesting. I had a small Mormon community where I grew up, where I went to high school. And so it's been very interesting to me. A lot of those people that I knew, the kids that I knew growing up, are no longer practicing Mormons. In some way, shape, or form, I do think that they remain their faith in some type of way, like faith with their relationship with God, but not rooted in Mormonism. And you know what's funny is there was something or another about famous people who grew up Mormon, and a lot of them who do not practice the religion anymore, I almost said follow the religion, practice the religion anymore, have said that they think the structure for them was good growing up, but they would not practice anymore. So I always find that very interesting. I'd love to know more. I mean, I have some friends who have said that as well. Now, let's get into the Valley. This is another thing. Y'all don't jump me. Oh my God, don't jump me. Actually, I don't care. I feel like I can deal with whatever. That's why. I don't think that Janet is 100% wrong for raising her eyebrow at Danny drinking in the pantry. That's it. I'm not saying Janet is right. Janet has Karen behavior. Janet was wrong as the day is long when she talked about Nia this episode. I just don't think in that specific situation, when she was like, he's drinking, sneaking and taking shots in the pantry, I don't think she's wrong to like call out that is concerning, right? In the same breath, I saw people being like, well, all of these people are criticizing Danny's drinking while being drunk themselves out in the open. Like they were leisure. I am a person whose relationship with alcohol has varied. I used to drink a lot. I used to party a lot. That is not my life anymore. That's not my testimony. I will not say that I had an alcohol problem because I didn't. I've always taken like breaks from drinking. I do not believe that if you drink, you cannot say that somebody has an alcohol problem. Alcohol is not good for you. I'm not like, you know what I mean? I'm everybody could always benefit from not drinking alcohol. Like that's a given. It's not a necessity. But I don't think everybody that drinks has an alcohol problem or is an alcoholic. Does that make sense? And for me, when somebody is sneaking, I've been around a lot of people with past alcohol issues, current alcohol issues. I've talked about it on my podcast a little bit. Like I've had friends pass away who I had talks with about their alcohol use, and a month or so later passed away because of that. It's tough, but I do think that there are certain red flags, and I work in the, bar industry. I've seen a lot. I've seen a lot of different people play off their alcoholism and make excuses and things like that, which is why I am so skeptical of Danny. Well, one of the reasons. So I do think that the drinking in the pantry is cause for concern. Do I think that it was on Janet to make it as a big a deal as she did? Janet's delivery, it's just the fucking delivery with that one. And not only her delivery, it's her intention behind her delivery. I should say that. Her intention. So when they're all having that talk, and I also want to say, when it comes to Jasmine, I've said this online, just because y'all don't know Jasmine that well, because you haven't seen her story that much, doesn't mean that Jasmine's experience with Danny and her girlfriend are invalid. Being in a women, I just lose my train of thought. Being in a same-sex relationship is a different experience from being in a heterosexual relationship. Trust me, I've been in both. Okay. And when you are two women in a relationship, there is a sexualization that happens all the time from men. It's annoying. It's gross. I will say I'm kind of lucky. I don't have my male friends are gay. They like men. So I don't really have a lot of straight men around me, right, to deal with that. Thank God. But that doesn't mean that, other women don't. It sucks to feel unsafe, right? It sucks to be sexualized in a way with your partner because men cannot control themselves. That's not on the women, that's on the men. I understand that Danny apologized to Jasmine. That doesn't mean that poof, Jasmine is over it. And Jasmine did say that she thought she could just move on, and she's still obviously harboring some feelings. Nia also said that they had to go to therapy after. Does Nia owe that to explain that to anyone? No, she doesn't. I think that, I don't want to say that she owes it to anybody. I think in the term of context, maybe it would have been nice to share with Jasmine and Melissa, but again, she doesn't owe that to them. And in the same breath, Jasmine and Melissa don't owe their forgiveness to Danny, right? And I think that that's something that Nia could understand. And I think Nia never said that she didn't understand, right? I think Nia is a really nice person, that she really seems to be understanding. But because Nia seems to be understanding doesn't mean that Danny gets a pass for his behavior. Y'all already know how I feel about Jessie Michelle. I'm not going to get too far into it, but I do want to say, in the terms of, because somebody asked me okay, how do you feel about Michelle and the don't say gay stuff? Obviously, I was not a fan of that. I need y'all to understand that just because I'm not a fan of that and I didn't appreciate that as a queer woman, I don't think that Michelle should be subjected to abuse at the hands of any man, but especially, I almost called him Danny, Jessie. Also, do y'all think that Michelle was in on that don't say gay shit and Jessie wasn't? They're married. You know what I mean? It is highly likely that both of their views coincide. And I do think that Jessie is more manipulative. But again, I don't have to agree with her beliefs. I clearly don't. I know Nia also holds some more conservative views as well. I don't think that those two things don't really have, right, in this instance, don't have anything to do with one another. I don't agree with her support or her even looking into Don't Say Gay, I also don't think that she should be abused and have to deal with stuff. I think that if she still believed Don't Say Gay, and mind you, I remember people being like, the gay people on the cast, Zach, Jasmine, like being like, no, babe, like I think that she has been talked to about that. I will say that. I don't agree with it. I feel like it's common sense. That was a fucking stupid ass narrative. These people also live in California. They're surrounded by rich people in California. So if they uphold conservative views, I'm not shocked. It doesn't surprise me. Okay. But I don't need somebody's views to align with mine to think that they don't deserve to be abused and things like that. So that's where I fall on that. I don't think that it should ever be confused. I'm not an evil person. You know what I mean? I don't have to like somebody to think that they don't deserve to be treated badly. I don't have to agree with them politically, socially to think that they don't deserve to be treated badly. That's sorry if you think that makes me a stupid person, but I'd rather be like that than have hate in my heart to that degree. Speaking of hate in my heart, I want to be very clear. When I was talking about Lexi on the last episode and her family being Canadian, I understand that, and immediately when I said it, when I was talking to Tom, I knew that I did not relay my message properly, right? I know that Lexi has a work visa. I'm well aware of what a work visa is. My question is, when I think about Lexi, is one thing I would have liked to hear more from Lexi about is she talks about her family still living and having a home in Canada and traveling back and forth to stay with her. It is very clear the state of the world that we live in. There are people with green cards that are getting detained by ICE. So that is why I question when they come, how long they stay. And I'm not questioning it because they should get them back out of here. I am just questioning it because while they are Canadian, they're not from the United States, they are still white. There is a privilege there that they may not realize that other people have, right? For example, Benji, Zach's partner on The Valley, he is Canadian, but he is a person of color. I think he is Asian. They're talking about him being deported. Now, we don't know Lexi's family's situation in detail, and we really don't know a lot of Zach and Benji's situation. And this is Benji's situation, not Zach's. Zach is just his partner in detail. It's just when I see somebody from Canada on one show talking about they're being deported and they're having issues with their citizenship, and then I see Lexi talk about her family just staying with her for long periods of time. They record their podcast, things like that. I'm like, wow, this is two vastly different experiences. So I wonder what the details are here. I do not think that Lexi or her family should not be in the country. Okay. I got a comment. Somebody felt very strong about it, said I sounded like Trump. Listen, did I say things correctly? In the best way on that episode? No, I didn't. But I didn't sound like Trump. Okay, we have to get to a point where I implore you to ask me also, hey girl, this kind of sounds a little murky how you explained it. And if I listen to your podcast, I don't really think that you think that way. So what are you trying to say here? Right? You also have somebody like Emerald, who on same cast as Lexi, which I know that obviously Emerald's not from Canada, but he talks about, being undocumented and things of that nature. So you have all of these different experiences, and Lexi talks about it in a sense of we're just, my family's staying with me, blah, blah. If one of the listeners / Instagram followers explained it to me, and this is being explained to me, but even if her family works for her, say if they have if she has Lexi Wood LLC, so she is the company. That's what a lot of influencers and even, celebrities do. That Lexi is, and again, this was explained to me, Lexi is still a Canadian citizen. So that Lexi Wood LLC would exist in Canada. So I don't know. That's what how one of you explained it to me. Again, I just want to be clear. I'm not saying that nobody belongs in this country and that they need to get out. It's just I would love to hear about that from Lexi, other than her and Jesse and how much her heart hurts from Jesse, right? Speaking of Summer House, let's get into that. I am really sad because it's so clear that there is a ending happening here. Lindsay, I don't know when we'll see her again. Y'all know that is my girl. For real, I was like, I have rode with this bitch since till the wheels fall off on this damn show. I watched a montage of her, like, at most activated moments, and I said, I stuck beside her crazy ass. What would we have done if not for Lindsay? We were entertained, if nothing else. And you know what? I love to see her go out on top, using air quotes there, like this, because it's just it was rough for Lindsay there for a little bit. Everything she said and did was wrong at the hands of the fucking Giggly Squad, but my girl is nothing if not a fucking survivor. She is a fucking survivor to the point where Paige goddamn DeSorbo is like, Lindsay Hubbard raised me. I know that's fucking right. Okay, I'm done. But I also want to get into the dinner scene table, right? It's so funny to me that people act like certain people on this show, cast members on this show, that they cannot say anything, right? So when it comes to West and Gabby having their little back and forth, it does annoy me the way the cast treats Gabby, some of the cast, so the men, West, Jesse, and Kyle. Kyle told her to pipe down earlier in the season. And in turn, how some of the audience treats her just because they don't see her that much. They think that just because, I don't see this cast member that much, they had to have not been there. It's already been discovered this season, that Emerald was completely edited out of episodes. So why are we okay with Emerald, the thought of, like, knowing that Emerald is being edited out of episodes, but we're not transferring that to Gabby? Like, has Gabby been edited out of episodes, right? Now, not to brag or anything, but I know I myself and a couple of other creators who are also Black women have made comments about camera time and them favoring certain people, right, over certain newer people, over like a Gabby who's been there and they haven't really invested in her life or storyline. And Danielle, her sister, has literally commented, you don't even know the things that I could say. So why are we, if you're not interested in Gabby's story, that's one thing. Like, you can say like, oh, that's crazy that there's obviously something missing there. I just don't really care. That's fine. But to say like, insinuate like that's a lie, or like Gabby has no place to talk, like, no, that's not true. She's a cast member on here. And I also think what it is with Gabby is because Gabby often is friends with people that are not really fan favorites, right? She came in with Sam. Her and Sam are really close. And then Sam wasn't on the show anymore. She's close with Lindsay. Lindsay was not a fan favorite until 2 seconds ago, but some of us have been here forever, just saying. And then she's close with Gabby. Close with Lexi. So I think that there's a couple things going on there with Gabby. And again, I made a video. The comments about Gabby from other Black women are really disappointing to me, especially the ones that are like, she just gave spoiled rich kid. She gave spoiled brat. Amanda and Paige have both told us that they grew up privileged and spoiled. So is it that you have a problem with somebody growing up spoiled brat, or is it that you have a problem with a Black woman growing up spoiled? Are we only invested in Black women's stories when it matches a certain narrative, right? That's all I have to say about that. Also, somebody commented and was like, Gabby didn't need to tell West to shut up. We have been watching Kyle Cook tell everyone to shut up on this show for 9 seasons, including his wife. Including his fucking wife. All of these people, everybody does it. Every single person on this cast has told one another to shut up. Stop. Again, it's okay when everybody else tells each other to shut up, but when Gabby does it, she's like, she crossed the line. No! They tell each other to shut up. These people are unhinged. They are unhinged, okay? And I love them for it. Oh God, guys, Summer House. I'm not lying. I'm like having a little bit of a moment because I'm like, Summer House is as I know it is over. And that show is just my favorite comfort, like summer camp. It's adult bug juice. Do y'all remember that show, Bug Juice on Disney Channel? I feel like it's adult bug juice. Okay, now that is all we are talking about pop culture and the shows. I am going to start talking about my life and my mental health. If you do not want to hear the rest, I will talk to you next week. You already know where to find me, where to follow me on Instagram and everything else. But if you want to stay, I do like to, sometimes talk about real life things pertaining to my life on this podcast because it is mine and I can do so. So as most of, I want to say as most of you know, but some of you might not know. I don't really know if it's national news or anything because I live in this area, but St. Louis was hit with a tornado this past Friday and it caused a lot of devastation all around the city. Main parts that it caused devastation in were North City, and that is unfortunate because that is predominantly Black area, North and West City also. So it also caused a lot of devastation like the Central West End, which is like kind of considered West City as well. And there are some really rich parts of the Central West End. And so what we are dealing with, and when I say we, I mean it's the St. Louis community, what a lot of people in North City and the predominantly Black area is dealing with is Ameren. So that's our electric company here. They are it seems like they are prioritizing the rich neighborhoods versus the not so rich neighborhoods. And I just want to say everybody's dealing with a lot. While the main parts of the devastation were in North City and Central West End and those places, all of St. Louis was hit by a tornado. We also have had some pretty bad thunderstorms this season, so the weather has not been great. And obviously, when a natural disaster comes, in come the snakes, in come the predators of these people that are trying to buy this land that has been in this city in certain Black families for a long time. And they're trying to, their homes are damaged now, homes that they've had in their family for years and years. And it's going to be a lot of money. It's going to take a lot of money to rebuild. And they are offering, if not the money it would take to rebuild, maybe a little less, definitely not fair, and to buy these people out and get them out of their own communities so they can gentrify it. And people are really scared that that's what's going to happen now, and that's just one part of it. The other part of it is that, again, there is a lot of community aid that is needed. There's a lot of things that did not happen on Friday that should have happened, so the tornado sirens did not go off. It also really rolled in really quick. I was in the train station and I was getting ready I live in the south part of the city. I was getting ready to go to the train station and Megan was like, it's about to storm. And I was like, it's sunny outside. Like it is, the sun was bright. It was shining. It was a beautiful day. And it went from that to green within, I want to say like a matter of minutes. And then I myself was in the train station when that happened. And even I could see like how the train station is positioned. I couldn't see that well outside, and it's under a bridge, under a highway. So I could see, of course, the rain, but I could not, and I could see a couple of things flying around, like little things like papers, but I could not see exactly what was happening. And the train station didn't tell us. They weren't like, you need to take cover, everybody needs to go get away from windows. They didn't say that. We were just all standing there and they're like, oh, train delay. That was it. So it really did come out of nowhere. And there's a lot of people that need aid right now. And there's also a lot of people, I don't want to say a lot of people, there's a lot of people showing up for one another, but there are people that are making this some sort of, how do I want to phrase this? Just like a battle of like who's doing better. And I want to say like that's not what this community needs right now. And I'm just going to be honest, it is a lot of white people in the community, like the more liberal part of the community in St. Louis that are putting themselves on a pedestal by judging others and what they are or not doing or what they perceive them to be doing. And all I want to say is that there are different ways to show up. I know so many people who were impacted in different ways. One of my friends, while her like exterior of her home is fine, her basement, there's water up to her shins. Like it is so flooded, right? I saw on TikTok somebody saying like, "Oh, if you're a local St. Louis business and you're not doing anything to help the North Side, like shame on you." And my friend that's House of whose house is flooded. She owns a business. She's like, I can't. There's just a lot of finger pointing right now, and that's not what the community needs. Somebody came into the bar and who came in from a different area to like help. And they said that there are a lot of white people riding around North City taking videos and like acting like these people are like a spectacle. These people and their homes and their devastation is a spectacle. And it's very frustrating for me to see all of these fingers pointed when like we all should just, if you are able to help, you should. Like you should, no matter what you can do, show up and help, because I do also feel like in a couple weeks, people are going to, it's kind of like some people are using it as a hot spot right now. Like they're like, oh, look what I'm doing. I showed up during the tornado. But these are people that are going to live with this devastation for years and years. It's changing the trajectory of their lives. It's so great that people are showing up right now, but the people who are treating it as a hot topic to make themselves feel better versus other people, that's really unfortunate. I know that I've talked about my job and like getting quote unquote canceled last year. I will say that there have been, again, the trolls are going to troll no matter what, but I often struggle. Like I'm a person that wants to show up for my friends, right? I do have a couple friends who were affected by this storm in major ways, and then a few friends like it trickled down. Like I said, everybody was affected. I have family on the north side. A lot of people don't know this about me, but that's where my mom was born and raised. So that is where I spent like a good amount of my summers. But if I wasn't where I grew up with my friends, like that is where I spent a good amount of my summers, at my family's houses. If we were doing any type of family gathering, it was usually on the north side. Like that's where my family is from. So just because you don't see somebody or you don't know certain things about somebody or what somebody's doing, it doesn't mean that they're not showing up. And you know what? If certain people aren't showing up, I don't feel like you just leave it. You know what I mean? Show up in the way that you can. But to tie this back around, I have and trigger warning for like suicidal ideations. I have talked about my mental health when it comes to like a lot of things. And I will say like the last year, like while I was getting my divorce and everything, I did feel very like, I felt great and I didn't like have those thoughts, but there have been times when I like thought about this past couple months, like taking a break from offline, which, because it is so frustrating between this podcast and just the amount that my job gets called out by people who are not like, it's just not the truth. It's feelings. Like there are some things that are just straight out untrue. And like, I know every battle is not mine and I have to protect my mental health, but it's hard for me because I am a person, I'm like, that's not true. Right. There was a comment made the other day. My job posted something that was like, just like STL is really strong. And we posted, resources and like where you can donate. Okay. There's a lot of places that you can donate right now. There's a lot. There's a lot. And there was a comment left by somebody who doesn't like us. And I have our social media on my phone. Like I run the bar, and it said STL would be better off without you. And like, I don't understand. I feel like that's a very basic thing of like, we learned like, what you don't say to people. I'm not asking anybody to like me, like us, anything like that. You just don't know what people are dealing with. Right. And so like, I see that on my phone and I'm like, what the fuck? Like, I just like, that's all I saw. And I'm like, what? Like, SEL is better without me. Like, what? And like, yeah, it's on the business page. But I'm just like, you dislike a business that much that you would say like it's better without. And listen, trust me, God knows if any of these trolls are listening to this right now, they're going to be like, oh, you're taking that out of context and text and making yourself the victim. I'm just talking about my personal experience, okay? And what like thoughts went through my mind upon like seeing that and like hearing that. It's too much sometimes between running this podcast and like this stuff that people say about not agreeing with my, thoughts on some of the shows, and then this just stuff dealing with my job, like the hate that my job gets again. It's just been really tough this past 2 weeks, like to like just get on here and get on and still make my content. And like, here's the thing, like, I love my job. Okay, I really do. I like it. That doesn't mean I don't have bad days at work. That doesn't mean I don't get annoyed, but that is not my end goal. And my employees are very much aware of that. My end goals like are to be self-employed. That is my end goal. But sometimes I get mad at myself for like the breaks. If you've listened to me for a long time, you know how many breaks I've taken from this podcast just because for other things going on in my life. So it's just one of those things where I'm just being honest. And, if you've stayed to listen to this and you like can relate in any way, like life fucking sucks. You know what I mean? There are disasters happening that we cannot control. And all we can control is ourselves. And I literally never thought that I would like be this person, but like I don't understand hate following. That's all I'm going to say. I just don't understand hate following and the nasty comments, because I can be a bitch. I'm not trying to convince anybody otherwise. I can be a fucking bitch. I just wish that people kept it in context sometimes, because even though Lord knows I don't love, people who make nasty comments towards me on this podcast, online, or through my job. I don't want anybody to like cease to exist. I don't want anybody to be out of their job. I don't want anything. If I don't like you, if I don't support you, I want you to get away from me. And that's just a message that I wish people would understand. And just, life sucks right now. It sucks for a lot of people in a lot of different ways. In no way is like, just because one thing that I've really had to learn is just because you are like having feelings and you're dealing with stuff personally doesn't mean that they're invalidated. Don't ever invalidate your own self, right? Because I do that a lot. I will be like, it doesn't matter. Like, there are people that have it way worse than me. Yes, there are. There's always somebody that has it worse than the next person, the person after that. But you have to take care of yourself. You have to take care of your mental health before, and so you can show up. So that's all I wanted to say on that. Thank you for listening. If you stayed this far, I hate getting emotional on this podcast, but whatever. Don't forget to follow me over on Instagram, Who Asked Zell, for my personal page, Who Asked Me Podcast, and then Who Asked Zell over on TikTok as well. And I will talk to y'all next week.